Hello, good morning, everybody, or good day for all of you because we have people joining from different countries. We thank you for all your time. Today, we are going to talk about melanger care and maintenance. But first, we want to give a brief introduction about CocoaTown. CocoaTown, we started. The parent company was started in 1992. We started trading innovative specialty food processing machines and focused primarily only on South Indian food. But over the years, we talked to our customers and realized these machines can be used for other gourmet foods. So when the recession hit in 2007, we wanted to pivot and then we were looking at what is the one we can do. In 2006, few chocolate makers were making chocolate. They were trying to make in small batches, but they didn't have the right equipment because the whatever the grinders were available in the market, they were working only for half an hour at a time. So they had to be engineers in addition to be a chocolate makers. So we said we wanted to be a pioneer in the industry and we wanted to enable the bean to bar chocolate. So we told them we will make all the changes so you can focus on your craft. So in 2009, we formed the CocoaTown as a separate, subsidy of Concepts. So we wanted to facilitate the evolution of cocoa as a superfood and enable chocopreneurs with machines at affordable prices and help chocolate makers make chocolate a healthy food instead of a junk food. And also we wanted to make sure the cocoa farmers, they produce flavor beans for specialty industry and also they can make chocolate if they want to at origin. Either way, they can move up the economic value chain instead of selling their beans at commodity prices. And then this is a small timeline of our machines and our story. We got the patents on our machines. We were the first one to bring up a lot of machines in small scale because before CocoaTown, people had to invest millions of dollars if they wanted to start their chocolate business. And then the objectives in 2020, again, we had to pivot because of the worldwide pandemic. So now we want to empower chocopreneurs with more focus on education because everybody is suffering. So we want to make sure they have the right tools. So we have the education, equipment, and evaluation tools, and we want to create online Cocoversity to provide resources and developing new lines of machines and accessories. So what is the future? We want to make sure we can return to normal life and meet friends and family face to face. We want to continue the virtual connections, but more in-person connections. And we believe in Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere in the universe be happy and free. And may the thoughts, words, and actions of my own life contribute in some way to that happiness and to that freedom for all. So thank you for all of you for joining today. And we will be showing some of the common care and maintenance about the melangers. And we also want to thank you all, in addition to all the participants, we want to thank your families, our employees, customers, cocoa farmers, mentors, industry leaders, industry organizations, and the God and the universe. And then you can always reach us through the phone, email, and website everywhere, and also on the social media. So also we want to remind you one more thing. As part of our empowering chocopreneurs, we also showcase our customers on our social media. So if you're a small business and you want to get in front of other customers or other businesses who may be willing to sell your chocolates, feel free to send your stories. We will be glad to publish them. We have about 4,000 people following us on our social media, Facebook and Instagram combined. We will be glad to shine light on you. So make use of the feature. And then the house rules for today. Yeah, any questions, please use the chat function. We will try to answer as much as possible. If we run out of time, we will send you by email or we will take some videos and we will try to post it on our website or on YouTube and send you the link. Thank you all. So now we are going to show you the machines. And then I'm going to, Dr. Balu is going to take over and Gary is helping us today. So Balu, Dr. Balu and Gary, you want to say hello?
Hey everyone, good morning. How are
They
you?
can see.
How are you?
Hello.
Yeah.
So we are going to give you the best we can give you. It's going to be an interactive session. The whole idea came about why we want to have that thing is, I mean, when people they wanted to know when they buy the Melanger is people treat different than any other equipment in the kitchen. If they have a KitchenAid dough maker in their kitchen, if the recipe doesn't come out, they go back and look at the recipe rather than just looking at the machine. So when it comes to Melanger, since it's kind of a new in the field, people don't know whether the recipe is a problem or machine is a problem. I mean, so they try to find out all possible reasons why their product doesn't come out to be good. So we want to give them a good introduction about our machine. So when you start using, if you have a problem, first you stop it, find out if there is something wrong with the machine. You do some simple test. If the machine is performing the way it's supposed to perform, then you should focus on trying to find out either the ingredient needs to be looked at or the process needs to be looked at. So you need to learn to see how to separate the different contributing factors that will be behind giving you the problem. So we are going to show you, when we ship in, I mean, when you look at the machine perspective, what the machine is supposed to do, is it doing the way what it's supposed to be doing? So when we send the machine to each individual customer when you buy, we really don't know what recipe you are going to be using, what ingredient we are going to be using. So we test our machines with the chocolate and sugar only, the standard chocolate and sugar, like cocoa nibs and sugar, and then we make sure that it produces the chocolate. So if you really don't have a doubt, just to go back and take just a white sugar, canned sugar, and just a clean nibs and repeat the process. Make sure that you can produce a chocolate before you try with all new exotic ingredients and the new different processes. So let's start talking about different. I mean, we are going to separate the presentation into two. One is um, talking about different components of the machine and how you do simple maintenance on a regular basis. And we also will cover when something happens, if you need to do some service on the machine, some basic service operations, we will try to explain to you. And then if you have any question, go ahead and give your questions. You raise your hand or send it in the chat section. We will try to address that as it related to that or the step we are showing. Or if it's anything, if it is the competitive product, any other Melanger in the market, if you are not a CocoaTown customer, but still you have some Melanger question, we will try to answer your question, but we'll keep that question at the end. This is Gary, our engineer here. He is also going to be helping you. I mean, helping me, or he is going to be doing most of the demonstration himself. We can see that. First, I'm going to close to our. This is our standard classic CocoaTown Melanger. What you are seeing is the two different versions. This is the ECGC 12 SLTA. The difference is the 12 SLTA has this knob to adjust the pressure on the stone. Okay, and then this is the our 12 SL with no tension adjusting mechanism. And then let me move on to the next one. This is our economy model, what we call as the Abbey Melanger. Of course, I mean, I want to show you along the way our different machines that we have.
The deluxe model.
Oh, then we have a, I'm going to go and show the other machines we have. This is the basic set. You will see the roaster and then cooling tray and then cracker, manual cracker, and our winnover. And again, let's say I showed you the 12 SLT and 12 SL. Then we are talking to the professional scale. In the professional scale, again, the oven, and it's a motorized cracker where you can crack the beans with using a motor, so you don't have to manually crank it. And this is our deluxe winnover with a motorized metering device. And this is our SQSS, we have two different models. The the one is the standard one, CocoaTown SQSS, and of course, we have a commercial scale. This is a commercial roaster, and I have a commercial cooling tray. The bottom, and also we have our patent pending winnover. Is our Melanger with the control panel. So let's start with the popular uh, widely used 12 SLTA.
So first we want to tell them what are the names.
Yeah, let's talk about the naming of this. I think I want to bring it to your attention that people, we have a standard name that we follow for different components in our instruction book, but not everybody they refer instruction book on a regular basis. But when you call us, it will be really helpful if you use the same name what's written in the instruction books so that we know exactly what you are referring to. For example, if you take this wiper, what we call as wiper, we have been calling this wiper for a long time, last 25 years. So some people call this a paddle, some people call that as a scraper. So really depending upon how they perceive the call. It will be nice if people can refer to the instruction book and call it with the right name. Okay, what's
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
So
we have that in Delrin and also in stainless steel.
So we have a stainless steel and we have a Delrin. What's the first one you want to cover?
Oh, I thought you want to finish talking about the parts, or you will do that later.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the external cooling fan that you will see that will be at the bottom of the machine. And also it has a grill. This is called a grill that covers the fan. So when you receive it, it'll be like this, the grill outside and the fan inside. And then this is the stainless steel lid. And we have the wiper for different ones, like for the cylindrical stone, for a conical stone, and also for the mini drum. So when you ask for the wiper or when you order it online, please make sure you order the correct wiper. And then this is called a reset switch. This is we have started implementing in the newer models that we have been selling in the last 2 years. The older models may not have the reset switch, but you can always add it because some people have these machines from 2010, but this can be added. This is usually what it does is it cuts off the power to the motor if it gets hot. And then this is called a center pin. This is the center of the drum. So this is the center pin that goes there. This one helps to put the roller holder. So this is the roller stone assembly. And then this is the roller holder. These are the rolling stones because some people call it wheels, but this is actually called a roller stone. And these are the mini drum stones. And then there is one more part that this is called a Chaco cleaner. We send it with the machine. So I want to make sure people know how to use it because I have seen sometimes people try to put like this and then lock it. And then when the drum rotates, this prevents it from rotating. But the purpose is for this one is to make it easy to clean the stones. So once you finish grinding, you put this on top of the drum and then you can put the stones on the top and then you rotate the stones manually so all the chocolate falls inside the drum so nothing is wasted and you don't have to have a strain on your shoulders. So this is the Chaco cleaner. And then this is another important part in the machine. So this goes here on the lock arm. So this is called a tension spring that gives the tension on the stones because the stones themselves are not very heavy, but by adding the tension on it, by this one gets compressed when you turn the flower knob on the top, and then it gets more tension. And this is called a spring sleeve, and this is spring housing, and this is a stainless steel button that goes on the tension spring. So those are the part names, and finally this is called a belt. The belt connects, it goes inside, it connects the motor and the driven pulley. The drum is sitting on the driven pulley. The motor pulley or the drive pulley is under the motor here. This is the motor housing. And this is called a shell. This is called a shell. And without the drum and stones, this unit is called base unit.
Let me explain to you briefly, how exactly the grinder works, how it grinds. So you will understand what are the critical components for making the grinder work. Okay. So what you see inside the grinder is a drum stone and the drum and the stone. So this is how the bottom of the drum looks like. Basically a granite slab. On the granite slab, she was talking about the center pin. Center pin is glued to the granite block. And then the stone goes on top of it. Okay? So the motor drives the bottom stone. So when it turns, the stone also turns. So that's all it is. So two functions. One, turning the drum so that the stones rotate. And second thing, you press the stones down. How do you press the stones down? That's where the swing arm comes, like Andal was explaining to you. So you have this is a fixed part. Okay. In the fixed part, there's a moving part, Delrin slime moving part. So this is spring housing. The whole thing is a spring housing assembly, and this is spring housing. So the spring housing holds the spring and the button on the top. So when it goes down, the spring housing goes up and down. When it goes up and down, you hold the top. When you hold the top, when you press the top of the spring, the bottom of the spring gets more pressure. So by adjusting that length of the spring, basically you control how much force is acting on the stone. So this one, it'll go to a certain level and then stops. It can go up, but it'll come and stop at a certain point. So by adjusting this the knob, you adjust how much you want to press the spring. So that pressure goes down the stone. These are the two things that make the grinder work. So most of the time, in the maintenance, you look at the rotation of the drum, what it takes, how is it rotating properly, whether it's running right, and then the stones do the spin right. That's one part of the maintenance. Second part of maintenance is you have enough pressure on the stones on the top. So we are going to cover.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. We are going to start covering the bottom stone. Typically, you will not have any much problem with the bottom stone. It's all glued, properly fit. Very rarely you will see a problem unless you drop the drum and then the stone cracks. Obviously, you have to buy a new stone. And occasionally, I have seen people that leave the drum in the oven, and then when it gets hot, it's possible this can get loose. If this gets loose, it will come out.
Okay, there are a couple of reasons why this center pin can come loose. One is using the drum in the hot water or the dishwasher. We recommend always cleaning the drum with lukewarm water and mild soap. Don't use the hot water because the hot water makes the metal expand and the stones cannot expand. That can weaken the glue, and then this can come. Or some places, if the viscosity is too high, and they're not watching when it's rotating, and after some time the stones start rotating, this stone start rotating, and then if this stone is not rotating, the drum is trying to rotate the stones. So there's a tug of war between the stone not want to rotate because of the viscosity and the motor trying to rotate the drum. Then motor gets overheated, and then as a safety measure, the center pin comes loose. So the motor is more expensive to replace than the center pin. So we want to make sure that you make sure the viscosity is good when you are grinding.
So like Andal was saying, for the reason that the viscosity caused the one to come loose, that you really save the motor by allowing this one to break rather than breaking the motor. So we talked about looking at the drum and
Yeah.
see how it looks. Now I'm going to pay attention to the stone.
Wiper, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. You can show the difference between cylindrical stone and the conical stone.
Yeah,
because
cylinder-
that's another question people are
Okay, people are asking what's the difference between cylindrical stone and conical stone. If you take the drum and then when it rotates, if you measure the speed of the surface speed of this versus here, this is going to be going much faster than this because this is a smaller circle versus bigger circle. So in the given minute, somebody running here is going to cover a longer distance than somebody running here. So if you ask them to go at the same place, you will see that this guy will be running much faster than this guy. So the conical stone is just designed to give you a differential speed. So if this part of the stone is going to be matching with the speed of this one, and the same token, the speed of this edge is going to be matching at this point where it touches. So that is the beauty of the conical stone. So at any given point, all you will see is the material gets crushed, no other action happening. On the same token, if you go to the cylindrical stone, so when it spins, like I said, this is going to be running faster than this in the linear speed, surface speed. On the other hand, cylindrical stone, when they rotate at the same RPM. So this edge of the stone and this edge of the stone is going to be going at the same speed, different from the conical. As a result, what happens is somewhere this is driving this. Somewhere speed of this should match with the linear speed of surface speed of this should match with somewhere here. So most likely maybe it may be matching here in the middle or somewhere close to middle. So at any when it runs, whatever the touching point here, this is going to be running faster than this. When you come to the edge, this is going to be running slower than this. So what happens when you crush the nibs, you want something to get crushed, just crushing only. So in the cylindrical stone, some parts of it are going to get a shearing action. So when that happens, the texture of the chocolate may be slightly different than just a crushing alone. Most of the chocolate, I mean, the consumers, customers, they may not see the difference, but people who really enjoy the fine chocolate, they can see the difference between grinding with a conical stone versus cylindrical stone. If you measure the particle size distribution, the particle size distribution in the conical stone, we have found that it's more narrower than what you get in the cylindrical stone. So people can we may not see the difference by looking at it. Most of the people cannot see the difference, but in the palette can tell you the difference. So the first the maintenance that I would like to show is the gap between the let me see how I can show you. Let's see if you can bring the camera and show it. So the gap between the edge of the wiper and the drum should be as minimum as possible, not touching the drum. So many people, many of the customers, if they are not properly adjusted, they will notice that the wiper is rubbing against the drum. When that happens, you are going to damage, and also it's possible you may lift the stone, so the grinding won't be more efficient. So you have to make sure that the wiper doesn't touch the drum. If the gap is too much, then you are going to see that the part of the chocolate that's stuck to the drum, it doesn't get really ground. So you have to really use your spatula, keep removing that the material stuck to the surface of the drum. So we have to adjust the gap between the wiper and the drum. The way you do that is you approximately, you put the unit there, drum. and lock it, and then look at the gap. Slowly rotate the drum all the way along, and if you can see that, maybe let's move the thing. So you can rotate the drum and make sure that it doesn't touch anywhere. You can keep watching. I mean, if you can keep watching the gap and then see how the gap changes, there should be a minimum change. When you rotate it, try to not to rotate the top, try to rotate to the bottom. That way you won't be tilting the drum if you give it too much force. So you can see there's a proper gap. Right now it's not touching. If I want to move it, let's say this is touching, you take the drum off and you loosen the nut. Whatever you see here, get a 10 mm wrench. So use a 10 mm wrench and then you loosen that. You loosen this, it comes out. Then you can rotate. By rotating clockwise, you will be going away from the drum. Go away from the drum. You are bringing the wiper towards the stone, the gap will be more. If you want to bring the wiper outside, you turn it anti-clockwise. Okay, so you turn it one turn and keep it inside. And then you rotate it and look at it. Right now we can see that there's too much gap. Okay, take it out. I need to bring it outside, so I'm going to clockwise, anti-clockwise. So one turn, put it inside. Did I do two turns? I think it seems to be the right gap. So I tighten this and keeping this vertical. This is how I tighten it. Make sure that this is vertical. Okay, even not at slanting at an angle. So this is how you adjust the gap. Since it's not touching, this is one of the maintenance you do on a regular basis. Second maintenance you will do is looking at the status of the stones. Let me show you the good stone, the way it's supposed to look like is, so this is one of the used stones. You can see that there's a crack here. When you see something like that, I would fix it before you start using it because it's going to fall down. It's going to come down, break like this. Okay, so make sure that the ends are intact with no cracks, nothing. If it comes out look like this, if you are in the middle of the batch, you can still use it. It's not a problem. You can wash it. You put the things back. Just don't glue. Don't do anything. Just you can put the stone back. You can finish the batch, but don't use it for too long. Second thing is, if you use it for a long time, let's say nothing happened to the edges, everything is fine. use it for a long time, the stone gets wear out, the hole becomes larger and larger and larger. At one point, you will completely lose all the delrin. The stone will start touching the stem. So you have to also examine the stem. Take a stem. I mean, roller holder, roller holder. You have to get the one. Yeah. No, the roller holder without stones on the table. So when the roller holder presses the stone down, the bottom part of the roller holder will be the one touching the delrin. So you can see the look at the bottom side of the roller holder. There should be some wear out. You should see some wear out, but you will see the difference between wear out coming from the delrin rubbing the stainless steel versus stone grinding the stainless steel. If you see the stone mark here, then that means your delrin really damaged beyond repair. You don't want to go to that level. You should always see some kind of wear out, but not grinding stone. Like a rough bottom should not. You should not see any rough bottom. Okay. Now I will in the service part of it, I will show you how to change the delrin inserts in the conical stone and cylindrical stone. But first, let me do the maintenance part. And the second maintenance part is how do you measure how much pressure is acting on this? If you are experienced enough, you can see how much force it takes to press it down. With the new one, it's going to be a little bit hard. If you quantify the numbers, you need approximately about 18 to 20 pounds of pressure here to press it down to make the lock. Okay. Take the wooden stick also, small wooden stick. Suppose, if you want to keep a record of in your logbook, before you do each run or maybe on a regular basis, how much pressure you need to press it down, all you need is a simple luggage scale. Bring the luggage scale to 0, okay? And then get a stick something like this so it doesn't damage the delrin. I'm sorry, the plastic part. Put that inside. Do it like this. Hold it like this. Don't use this hand to give any pressure. Okay, just hold it like this. This is what we use this hand only to hold this. Okay, and then press it down. Press it down until you get a click. To 65 now. Where is the conical stone? Yeah, it should be approximately 20 pounds. Let me see. At the very end, when you click it, you need a lot more pressure, so you don't wait. So until this is reading at 25, approximately about 18 to 20 pounds. So if the spring goes bad, then you know that it will be. Let me put it. Let me give an example. Now you have the least pressure on the stone. It doesn't even need any pressure to lock it. That's what's supposed to be. Let's say you put it halfway through. See, it's much easier now. If you press it down, you see that? This is the pressure you should see before it clicks. What's the pressure it takes before it clicks? Obviously, you need a lot more pressure to click it. You can feel when it hits the end. See? Right now, we're reading about maybe 12 pounds. For the same movement, keep watching it. if you want to be even, make sure that you can take a marker pen and you can make a mark here. Where does it go when it before it clicks? Make a mark, and then come back to that mark. You'll see it's 20 pounds. So the before you get about 18 to 20 pounds before it clicks. So that gives you an idea. When it's fully pressed, you should get about 18 to 20. Obviously, when there's no pressure on it, you don't need any. You will see almost zero. This is one of the maintenance tips. At this point, really, when it's all the way up, you don't get any. You are not giving any extra pressure on the stones. Whatever the grinding happens, that because of the weight of the stone. For conching purposes, that's what you will do. At the end of the process, you got the right amount of particle size. You don't want to have any more particle size reduction, but you want to have some more conching. That's what you would do. Completely release the pressure and then keep running. Keep running. You can get the stone easily. So you'll be running the chocolate only to mix with the air. These are the basic maintenance thing that you will do on the melanger part.
Okay. And the stones, I just want, and the roller stones, I just want to, bring some attention because like I said, we have been selling this model from 2010 and over the years we have made some changes. So the stone size also has changed recently and also the roller holder size. So when you ask for a wiper or a stone or a roller holder, we ask you too many questions, don't get frustrated. Our objective is to make sure we send you the right part, especially most of the people are outside the country. It's very expensive to ship it. So please, when we ask for example, if you're ordering the stones, this is called a roller stone shaft. So we want you to measure the diameter of this shaft. And also we want to measure the diameter of the hole size in the stone. So the hole size is, so we want you to measure the hole diameter and also the diameter of the shaft and also the diameter here, the widest part of the stone. Because like I said, the size is different. If you're putting the wrong stones, like we saw the first time when Balu did the tension, it went up to 60, the second time 20. So that was not the right stone for this machine. So that's why we need to have the right measurements to send you the right part.
Just a minute, as far as this melanger is concerned, 95% of the time, unless you really bought it, maybe 10 to more than 10 years ago, very first model, this is going to be approximately 10 mm. You will see that is 9.89, 9 point. That's the diameter of that. Okay, that's what we will ask you. We will ask you to measure it and tell us. Okay, and then if you measure the diameter of the stone, it's approximately about 11 to 12 millimeters. Brand new one is 10.51. When you get a new one, you get approximately about 10.5. And then normally when it settles down, it should be about 11. You can go up to 11, 12, 13 mm. But if it goes more than 13 mm here, I would say that's a time to go and change the stone or maybe the delta needs it.
Okay.
At this
Somebody
point,
is asking how much pressure or tension should be on the stone when you put on new, and how many turns for the tension knob. So you want them to show about the grinding stone on stone grinding.
So when we send the unit out of our factory, our target is approximately 18 to 20 pounds, maybe 1 pound less. Maybe next in case it can go to maybe 17 or 21. But we calibrate, we make all the adjustments that when you get it, it should be 18 and 20 pounds when it's completely pressed down. When I say completely pressed down, I want to bring another interesting point. Like a difference between SLT and SLS. SLT doesn't have any adjusting knob, so you won't have that block. At that point, you'll get only one pressure. Whatever the maximum pressure you are going to get this machine, you will see it in the SL, which is about 18 to 20 pounds. You cannot reduce it down. If you want to really, let's say you have an SLTA machine, if you just do one conching, you can run the machine without locking it. You can run it so that you won't have any pressure on the stone. So you either will have a zero pressure or maybe the full pressure. That's all you will get in SL. SLTA, you can get anything and everything in between. So when you get the new machine, you are going to see there is a nut here. The purpose of the nut is when you go down all the way, when you have a new machine, somebody was asking, what you get in the beginning. When you get a new machine, when you go all the way down with a new set of stones, you should be getting that the 18 to 20 pounds I was talking about. With the time, you will see that the delton is wearing out. What happens when the delton wears out is this is going to go down because the delton wears out. This whole thing is going to go down by a millimeter or so with the time, maybe even 2 millimeters, depending upon how much you use. When that happens, even with the maximum pressure, you are not going to get 18. You are not going to get 18. So at that point, what you do, take the nut out. Take the nut out. That way, you can press the spring even further to compensate for the wear and tear. So until you change the roller stone or the delton, you can get that maximum pressure by taking the stone out and reinstalling it back. Basically, this will allow you to keep the spring pressed more to give you that pressure you need. But when you get a new set of stones or put a new set of deltons, you should go back and put the nut back. Otherwise, what will happen is you will be giving unnecessarily, you'll giving more pressure. The delton is going to wear out faster. So really, you don't need more than 18 pounds of pressure on the stone to do the job. If you're giving more, it only wears out the material. It reduces the life of this than really any performance improvement.
Yeah, and then you want to show them when you're on that, you want to show how to change the, this one sometimes breaks.
Yeah.
So you want to show that?
Want to show that? Okay. I'll ask that get it to show you how you replace it. Sleep. Generally, when people order this, they don't really have a need. And I mean, there's no really much wear and tear in it. The way it breaks is, suppose, let's say somebody by mistake they drop it down. When you do that repeatedly, this is going to break. So that's what happens. Or maybe if you give really excessive force,
Or the viscosity.
when the way is, say for example, it hits the bottom, you press the stone spring down and down and down and down. At a certain point, the spring is going to be completely compressed. If you press it even more, this is going to break.
Okay. Can you turn and show it better? Because
yeah. So the when you run conditions, it's not going to be at the bottom. It's going to be somewhere in the half. So it can go up and down. You will have a room for it. If there is too much wear out down the stones, and then if you really didn't pay attention to it, it's going to hit the bottom. When it hits the bottom, really doesn't matter how much force you give, the force is not going to go into the stone. Instead, the force is going to break the delton housing. That's how it breaks. So if you see that, hey, I didn't really drop it down. It was working fine. I was very careful, but I still see that it's broken. That's one of the major reasons that can happen is you have a situation where the delton stones the delton is wear out too much, and then you try to give more pressure by giving extreme pressure on the stone, on the spring. So at any given point, you should see that in the run conditions, you can see that. We can make a mark here at this point, and you see that when you have a product on it, when you lock it, you can see that the mark will go inside. That means, you are in this situation, you have a room to go up, you have a room to come down. That's the way it should be. Oh, you want to change? Yeah, go ahead and change. Show them how you do that. For changing, what tools you need? Take the piece from that one. much time do you have? You have experiences and all that.
Okay. To remove the housing, it's 3 flathead screws right here. You just use a regular flathead screwdriver. Turn it counterclockwise. Be sure not to lose your screws. Should pop right
No,
out.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
You need to take the pin out.
Oh.
You need to take the pin out. Where is it from? Small screw. You need to take the swing arm out. Before you do that, for doing that, there's a plastic cap on one side. Let me get it.
In the meantime, you want to show them that how they have to orientation. That's important. They have to see which way this orientation is.
And when you're checking this, make sure that this hole is horizontal. It's long ways like this. If it's turned this way, then it won't be able to go in correctly to the stone.
Using a very sharp edge, you take the end cap out.
There's a purple button.
It's a purple button. You take it out and using a screwdriver, you push the pin out.
Yeah.
As the pin comes out, and this one comes out, then you can take the
Use a sharp,
screwdriver. It comes out. Then you take the 1, 2, 3, 4 screws out.
show them that's a Phillips.
This,
Yeah, take it out.
yes, this is a Phillips head. You can see that. So we have a cordless one just to speed this process up a little bit.
Actually, we have a video of that in our the demonstration video. You can ask for us. We'll send you the link. So you take that, you change that piece with a new one. Okay.
There's your button.
So when you want to put a new one, take the new one, new spring, put the button back here, and then you reverse it. follow the process exactly.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe in fact you can mount it and then you can. Now you can put that from the top and hold it in your hand.
And make sure the button is always on the top. Yeah, if you install the button upside down, that spring won't, you won't see the spring tension.
Yeah. So you put the screws back, go back and do it in the reverse order.
Yeah.
Since it's the start of time, I'm going to focus on
The next,
changing the Delton insets. That's one of the most common things. Like that's the most wear part in the grinder. Um, if you are really mechanically savvy, and then if you don't know, I mean, if you know how to use all the tools, if you have all the tools, if you have an engineer in the house, or your husband is a handyman, or wife is a handy woman, yeah. Uh, no, no. So I'm going to show you, but really the right way to do is if you have a lathe or if you have a machine shop close by, it should be done precisely. See what happens is this. Let me quickly show you the simple steps, and then I'll go at the little bit detail. So when the Delton is wear out significantly, just like I showed you, take a screwdriver and pop off this end, and pop off this end, and press the Delton out, and they go back in the reverse order. So you have the Delton. You have the stone after you press it down. So the old Delton will be out. You clean it, and we will send you the replacement Delton insert. You put the Delton inside on both sides, and then you put a glue and finish it off. That's a simple thing. If you don't, we have done every effort to make sure that this process should work, but occasionally this is a granite stone. It's kind of difficult to make sure that the center of this hole is exactly in the center of the stone. So some of the year, and now we're making we put a lot of care to make sure that the center of the hole is right in the center of the stone. But in center of the hole is exactly in the center of the stone. But in the earlier models, it's possible that the center of the stone in this example, I'm going to show you with the cylindrical stones. So if I measure the distance from here to here to here to here, all the way around, it should be exactly the same. Then I know that the center of the hole is exactly in the center of the stone. If it is not, then before you change the Delton insert, you have to make that measurement, make sure that that's the case. If it is not, then obviously the Delton insert replacement won't work. So I'll show you one example where the center of this hole is not in the center. I went ahead and changed the stone. See, this is the way it's supposed to spin. This is, I mean, it's perfect spinning, not any wobbling, right? So this stone was done, Delton insert was changed, but the problem was the hole is not in the center. You can see how it wobbles. When something like that happens, the grinding won't be perfect. The stone is going to get stuck. So you cannot replace the Delton stones either in the conical or the cylindrical. But I mean, with the newer machines, what you got in the last 6 years, you will not have that problem. You should be able to change it. I'm going to quickly show you. Typically, we have a hydraulic press, something like this, to do our job. Okay. So this example of one where we take the stone, take the lip off, and we put the stone on top here. And we use take that 12 mm screw there. I have the big bolt. Go to Home Depot, big bolt. Go to Home Depot and buy a bolt like this. This maybe you may buy a little bit longer than this. We have the tool here that I didn't. So we use this tool to push the Delton out. We have specially made tool. But in your case, if you don't have this tool, you can just go and buy from Home Depot, and then put the stone here. Okay, you put the thing on top, and you can press it down. I mean, I'm going to use this tool to show you now. Okay. Where is the other bolt, longer bolt? Yeah, you can use a longer bolt. You can press it in. I don't have time to go and completely show you.
We'll send the video.
Yeah, we will send you the video. So the old Delton will fall out. If you don't have this tool, it's not a problem. Take that and take a hammer. You get a hammer. Put 2x4, and then you take the bolt and hammer it slowly. You can see that it's coming loose. So it's slowly, by hammering a little bit at a time, you can carefully hammering it, you can take it out.
Okay, make sure the bolt is the same, little bit smaller than the hole diameter. Otherwise, they can break the stone.
So you can hammer it down. Okay. Once you hammer it down, so that's step number 1. So now you have a stone that Delton removed. So what we will be doing is, when we do in the factory, if you see that there is a small notch here on both sides. So when we send the Delton insert, it'll have a small key on the Delton insert. When we send it to you, it'll have a key. But I'm sorry, I mean, you are not going to get that. I mean, when we do in the factory, we make sure that this key matches with that cut, and it'll go in smoothly. But many people, they may not do it carefully, which may break the stone. So we are going to send you once that the key already removed. So when you remove it, when you get it, you will see that the stone will not, the Delton insert will not have a key. So we will take care of it. This is a good example where we took the key off. So this kind of thing, you are going to get 2 sets of Deltons. One that has a thicker lip and one has a thinner lip. Okay, can you bring the camera there? They can see that. Okay, so we have so you are going to get 2 different ones. One 2 different sizes too. So one has a thinner lip, one has a thicker lip. So what you do using a caliper, inside. Okay. So you measure the length of the hole. So using a caliper, something like this, so you can zero it and press it down. That will give you the depth of this, approximately 65 millimeters. Okay. Show them how you reduce the length and the change. See, for that, then you have to do 2 things. So now you know the 65 millimeter. So take one of them and put it inside. When we send it to you, it's going to be slightly longer diameter. Okay. So you will have it should be a snug fit. It should not be too tight. It should not be too loose. When you send it to you, we will send it to you slightly bigger than what you need, because it's always, you can go back and put it in a lathe and you can reduce the size and make sure that you don't over reduce the size. This is the right fit. When we send it to you, 90% of the time, it'll be the right fit. It'll be a snug fit. Okay. Um, if you reduce the size too much, it's going to be loose. That means you cannot use this Delton insert. Reduce it to the right size if you need to. This also is a little bit loose. This is a snug fit. So when it's inside, really the glue should not be the one holding it. The Delton should have a good touch with the stone. The glue is just only to very thin layer of glue. That's all you need to hold it. Keep them in place. So now that's one thing that you have to reduce the diameter. Second thing you need to do is the length. When you put them together, I want to show them that part. Make it shorter. So you keep them together like that, and then you measure the distance between them. That should be 65 millimeters. So when we send it to you, we will send it to you slightly longer than what you need. You can take it to a belt sander or some kind of sandpaper. You can sand the surface a little bit at a time to bring that. When you put them together, it should be approximately 65 millimeters. Okay. So once you cut them down, then the second step is take the glue. So we use a 2-part epoxy glue. Go ahead and do it. Wash my hands.
No, just we can attach to the glue instructions. That's okay.
Yeah, we will have the deal in.
No, we send the instructions on the. Yeah, we are running out of time. We need to do the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us 1 second, okay? Okay, now show them bring the SKs. We will do the SKs. You can move that one. You can move the. Yeah, but move that one first. Sorry, give us 1 minute to remove the lathe away so that we can show you the other ones. And if you have any questions, you can put it on the chat and we will try to answer when we are waiting for them to bring the SQSs or the stainless steel melanger that we have. Yeah, somebody had said that the stone exploded. So that's why Balu was saying, you have to make sure it's a snug fit and it's not too loose or too tight. If it's a little bit tighter, then you have to use a emery paper or sandpaper as they call it in different places. And you have to make the dullins a little bit smaller. Like he said, the stones are the big stones and they don't make the exactly the precise measurements. It's unfortunately that's why there is a little bit size difference. So always please make sure, because safety is more important. So when you put the delrin inserts, make sure that the delrin is not too loose or too.
Come here.
Okay. Okay. This too much. Okay. So this is the stainless steel melanger SQSS we call it. So this is the fan for the motor. The first fan we saw is the cooling fan that's outside the unit, and this is the
How to take it out? Show them how to take it out.
so Gary is going to show when you get this, you are going to get the unit like this with the cooling fan outside, and you will have like 8 screws that you have to remove it, and then yeah, you can take this out. Yeah,
The fan will have a little connector here, which you just squeeze.
the
In order to
connector show
disconnect.
very close up. Yeah,
You can see.
yes, yeah. So you have to disconnect the connector from for the fan. Yeah.
See, most of the problem that happens in SQSS is when in the transit, depending upon how the UPS handles, this the grill that you see to protect the fan, it get bent, and then it bent inside so that the span doesn't spin anymore. Span is supposed to spin freely, so it won't spin. When that happens, when the customers, if they don't notice it, this fan won't be working the way it's supposed to be working. So it will block the air going in. When that happens, this cavity gets higher temperature, gets hot. When it gets hot, they will see that this motor has two protection systems here. One is a reset switch that protects the motor. For some reason, if there is a current fluctuation in the building, this protects the motor by sensing the overcurrent and will cut off the power to the motor, protecting the motor. So this is an overcurrent protector reset switch, okay? Current sensing. The other one is the temperature sensing. That sensor is built inside the motor. So this is one of we were the first one to introduce that kind of a concept into this motor for this Melangers thing. Now almost everybody has a over temperature protection. So the over temperature protection, for some reason, this motor gets hot. It senses, it cuts the power off, saving the motor. So under those two conditions, the motor is protected. When this fan stops working for whatever reason, whether they failed the fan, you can see you should be able to rotate the fan with a screw. If it's not happening, that means this fan is either got stuck with this grill, or probably the motor, the fan went bad.
Show them how to lift the grill. No, lift the grill. They can just.
So you can take the screws off, and then the grill will come off. And then if it is the grill that's the one stopping from rotating, you can take the grill, will allow the motor to spin.
Or they can even pop it up a little bit.
So you fix that the problem. So when that happens, the motor is not, this is not going to be adequately cooled. So the motor will run, but when it gets over hot, it's going to cut off the power. You will see the unit will shut off. When the motor cools down, it will start again. If you are in the middle of the night, let's say the Melanger is going in the middle of the night, it's going to be on and off. If the temperature is cold, what's going to happen is when the motor will try to come back again when it's cold. At that point, we assume that the chocolate is still warm, liquid, fluid, allowing the drum to rotate. For some reason, either the power is out or the temperature went down significantly when you allow it to, when the motor was temporarily shut off, the drum won't spin. So the chocolate will be kind of frozen like a semi-solid or solid. So this motor will not be able to spin. So motor will try to spin and it won't rotate. So it's going to turn off, it's going to get hot, it's going to turn off again. So it'll be keep going on and off, but it cannot rotate the drum. So you have to make sure that when the chocolate is fluid at any given point when you are grinding. We have in the SQSS, we have something called emergency shut off. What you see here. See, the SQSS comes with this. The benefit of this is If you are running it, if you want to stop it, it's easy to stop. And also inside it has a protection mechanism. Let's say you are in a country where the power comes. I mean, very often you have a power shortage, power failure. When the power comes up, um, you don't want the motor to start by itself. So that switch, what I showed you, has a mechanism where, for whatever reason it stops, it will not start again unless you come back and press the green button. So that protects you in the case of a power failure. When the chocolate becomes solid, I mean, the motor won't start. The unit will be completely shut down until the next day when you come back and then warm the chocolate, make it as a fluid again to run. So in this case, so it may not, it will try, so the motor will get hot. What happens when repeatedly when that happens, the plastic kind of gets loose in this hub. So it's possible that this belt, this fan may come off. So when it comes off, then you have a situation that there's no other fan to cool it. So you have to go through the repair service. I mean, it's a repair, it's not a maintenance. You need to go back and replace the fan with a new one. So for doing that, what you need to do is you need to remove, there is a circlip here. You need to remove the circlip. You have a circlip tool. You can go in the auto store, you can buy it, and you can remove the circlip. Yeah, you can take the circlip. Yeah, circlip. You can take the fan out. Yeah. Take the fan out. Yeah, it has to be snug fit. This is a new one, so it's going to be difficult to take it. Yeah. So if it is a damaged one, you will see that it will come off very easily. You put the new one, you can put the circlip back. So show them how to do the circlip. Yeah, once put it on the machine, the circlip holder. Yeah. The same thing is going to be the process. If that thing doesn't really happen with the SLTA. We have seen that only in SQSS, the fan getting hot. They have seen that issue because of the way the transport companies they transport it. So when you receive the unit, make sure the cooling fan is working before we start make the grinding, chocolate. Yeah. So the only other maintenance you would need, in this one is checking the belt. See, now we have in the early days, when the very first batch, we had a poly V belt. This is also not a poly V belt. We see multiple grooves. There are 4 grooves, and even this one, you don't really need to change unless you get into a situation where oil or chocolate went into it, and then it made it a little bit slippery, so it won't have enough grip. So in that case, you may have to clean the. You want to show them that where the belt goes on the top? Yeah. Because they want to see if you can stand behind and talk so they can see the whole thing better. Okay. Next, you can adjust. Okay. I cannot show that. Put it back outside. Okay. Okay. So we are now showing the drive mechanism of that. We have a combination of belt and the gear. The generally, I mean, no, this is you don't have to do any maintenance on them. On it, I mean, maybe once in 3 months, 6 months, you just look at the condition of the belt. Only when you see the performance difference, you need to do that. I mean, you need to look at that. The earlier models, we have the poly belt here at the bottom. Now, in all the new models, now we have a cog belt, so that will have a much better, almost no zero slippage. So this gives you don't really have to change the belt for a long time, unless there's a misalignment, which you don't have, which you will not have. So you change the belt, it comes out like this. Put a new belt, start from this end.
Yeah, always started with a smaller wheel and then adjust to the bigger wheel.
And that's it, changing the belt. You have a similar one in the economy model Abbey grinder. You have two belts. I mean, that's in fact, I mean, it's much quieter the melangers compared to any other melanger in the market. In the SQSs, that's the only maintenance that you would need. What are the things? I think we have covered pretty much what we wanted to cover. Now, I think, like I said, I mean, it's mostly, I mean, we have to listen to you guys, see what comments you have, what that you would like to see. Again, talking about the Delton inserts, I'm going to show you the right way to do, the engineering way to do the changing the Delton insert. I'm going to show you typically how we do that. I'm going to show you a video of how we change the Delton insert in the big melanger like a 65E. But the concept is to make sure that the center of the hole after you insert the Delton is exactly as the center of the stone. So the outside diameter of the stone, you look at that. I mean, just look at the stone center and make sure that Delton's hole center is the same. How long is the video? 5 minutes? 5 minutes. Yeah, I wanted to see that video for 5 minutes. That's what we do in the factory when we make the stones. So when you replace the Delton insert, you are not going to exactly the same precision as that, but you are going to get pretty close. But if you have access to the machine shop, or if you have a lathe in your access, I would suggest you to do this. Can I also talk?
You want me to unmute?
No, it's unmute. So but the reason why I'm showing this video is it's specifically designed for 65E. But the point is, I mean, if you see the steps in doing that, pretty much they are same no matter what, whether you're using a smaller melanger or bigger grinder, the steps are still the same. This is done in a machine shop when we are The video is not working. You are playing, I'm seeing it, right? It may be jittery, but still people can see it. It's not as smooth as you see on the screen. So at this point, with all the both the inserts are installed in the stone. Now, in your, I mean, when you are gluing the delrin insert in the conical stone and cylindrical stone melangers, you will stop at this point. But if you want to have a really high precision, you go back and put the stone in the lathe, and then make sure that you measure the hole to make sure that it's exactly in the center. Many of you don't have the access to the lathe. I mean, in fact, if you take it to a lathe, the lathe hour is approximately $100 an hour. It's cheaper to buy a new stone than taking it to a lathe, unless you have a lathe or you have an access to a lathe. So it's been, but I mean, I think whatever the Delta insert we are sending it now, that's the best case scenario. You should be able to do it as long as you don't see. And once you install the Delta inserts, just the sample I get the bad stones. So,
Yeah, they could not see the video. It was jerky. I don't know why.
okay, see, as long as when you run it, it's smooth. I mean, after you installing the new Delta insert, you are fine. If you see something like this, obviously you have a stone that cannot be
No,
repaired.
can
Or
you please show that angle this way to the camera? The wobbling, they cannot see when you.
That's when.
Okay.
If you see a situation, I mean, then the Delta insert job is not done right. Either you have to redo it, or it may not be doable at all. You may have to order a new set of stones. Any other questions?
No, they said the video was not good. They want to know why does it, the devil needs to changing. So you can explain after the wear normal wearing.
So one of the question is, why do we have to change the Delta? Well, like anything else, I mean, when you have a car, when the tires will change. After once beyond that, you have to change the bearing, the wheel bearing. So it's something exactly the same situation like changing the wheel bearing. I mean, in the typical. Um,
Oh, they want to know about resurfacing the stone.
Yeah, I will touch on the resurfacing the stone. Okay, so now this is an example of where the Delton is actually cracked. Is it? I mean, I don't recommend you change. You change this Delton insert, not using it like this. But if you look at that, this is a part that presses the stone down, and then the Delton this is a stationary part, doesn't rotate, and this is spinning all the time. So one of them is going to wear out. So in this case, the Delton is going to wear out. What was the question? What is the question?
The question is, resurfacing the stone. I can type.
Okay. Listen.
Yeah, the resurfacing the stone is not needed. Lot of people think that you have to take the stones and sizzle it and to make the dips and bumps so it can grind, but it's not true in these melangers and grinders, because to start with, the new stone is very smooth, so you don't need to make it rough. The only thing is you have to worry about is the tension acting on the stone, and if the delrin insert has the right thickness, and you did not wear out all the delrin, those are the things that you have to worry about. So in our melangers and grinders, you never have to resurface the stone. And if you have any other questions, please.
I mean, if you get into a situation where you need to resurface the stone, probably, I mean, no, it's time to get a new stone. I mean, there's a lot of other things that probably needs to be replaced. The only time that we have seen people resurfacing is with the 65E, where I mean, no, everything else is fine, but still the stone is really shiny stone. The stone gets really shiny at that point. We can do that. I mean, if you get into that situation, I mean, contact us. We will send you the details. But really, we we haven't seen any customer doing that in place. You don't really need to have that rough surface.
How do you know
Okay.
How do you know when you need to replace the delrin? That's the question.
When
The question is, how do you know when you need to replace
if the stone or ID is okay. One of the question is, when is the time that we have to go and replace the delrin? When you are all the way down, the spring. Okay, can you show the delrin? So you should be able to get about approximately 18 to 20 psi. Even if the nut is removed, the flower, the tension knob is all the way down, still you are not getting enough pressure. That means the delrin is worn out beyond repair. You need to go back and change the delrin. The other thing is you can measure the ID of that. It should be approximately 13 mm. You can let it go from when you supply. We support it 11.5. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 10.5 to 11. When you receive a new one, let it wear out maybe about 13 millimeters. When you take a used delrin stone, if you measure the diameter, take the stone. Yeah, this is actually a different stone. Show it to them. So So I mean, when you send a new unit, we send about 10.5. You can see the number 10.5. Keep measuring it. When it comes to 13.5, 13, then it's time to change it. Okay. What else? And the collars break.
Yeah, so you need to change the delrin.
Like I said, I mean, when the collar is an important thing that will keep it from. Generally, when it runs, the tendency is for the stone to move out during the running. I mean, when it runs, so it will try to escape. The nut will keep it in place. So the collar on this part, if you look at that, I showed you. I mean, we have two different kinds of delrin insets. One with the thicker lip and one with the thinner lip. So with the thinner lip should be always at the bottom, where really very rarely this part touches anything. Whereas this one, the thicker lip is the one that's outside, constantly rubbing up against this. So you can look at that. So when this is the one that's going to wear out faster, if the collar gets wear out, if it wears out, you can do it for 1 or 2 batches. You can manage. Don't run it for too long.
Also, they want to know how do they know when do they have to change the Delrin inserts?
By the 13 mm, 13.5
Yeah.
mm. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. What is the name of the tool used to measure the Delrin tracer?
Caliper.
Calipers.
Digital calipers.
It's we can get it from if you're in the US, you can get it from Harbor Freight for maybe $20, $25.
Okay. Oh, they want to know when the shaft wears out, what to do? The roller stone shaft.
I think it's time to buy a new Melanger.
No, they can buy the
No, you
roller
can,
stone
you can
shaft.
buy the roller. That means you have used it for 10 years. Really, in our experience, people really haven't, unless you did not really notice it, and then the Delrin wore out beyond the limit. So the stones start rubbing, then you will see that. At that point, you just buy that new one. But normal wear and tear, you don't really need for life of the unit.
I think
Yeah.
that's it. We can, I think it's 11:40. So.
Okay. Didn't you? You want to comment? Okay.
So I think we don't have any more questions. So if you have any other questions, feel free to email us. We will try to send the answer. We thank you for your time. I know, Saturday is the time that you all spend with the family or catching up with the other things. So thank you for dedicating your time to listen to us. And we have the next webinar on February 6th by Dr. Christy Lyle. She's going to talk about innovation along the cocoa value chain and how she is helping cocoa farmers and chocolate makers in Ghana. It'll be a very interesting one. She has written a book called Cocoa that has been reviewed by the Economic Times. And she was a professor in University of Washington. Now she is in Ghana, and you can read about all her bio and everything. So you can join, and we thank you for time. Bye, and be happy, be healthy, and eat a lot of chocolate, and help all the people. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we cannot stay in the back. We have to stay in the side.
You can go in the front and thank all of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for your time. Looking forward to see you again in the near future.